Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Hello there and welcome to PS4 Fun, and I'm going to check out The Plague's Tale. Now generally when I do a checks out I haven't finished the game, but I have not only finished A Plague Tale but I've also got the platinum for it as well. It became my 7th platinum, and it is an astonishingly good game, and I'm going to talk about it as I play through a level. Now there is very little spoilerage in this trailer, it's quite early on in the game, but what we have here is Amicia, who is your lead character. Lucas, who joins you in chapter 3, he's an alchemist, and we have over here, trying to catch frogs, little Hugo. And this is a game set in mid-1600s in France during the 100-Year War and during the height of the bubonic plague. And it is the best game I have played this year so far, without a shadow of a doubt. It's absolutely astonishing. It has a very compelling story. It has this beautiful graphics. I mean, it's an indie studio, but it has these beautiful graphics. The voice acting is exceptional. But the thing that really marks it out and is Plague Tale's touch of genius is the antagonists. Sorry, no, the protagonists. And the protagonists are all children. So we have Amicia here, who's probably about 15 or 16. I think Lucas slightly younger, and Hugo, who's run off ahead of us, is only 5. And it's this that makes the game so compelling. Not just the story, not just the incredible voice acting and the beautifully atmospheric graphics. Here he is, little Hugo. But the fact that you are controlling children. Now the characters that you come across, or certainly the main characters, the good characters if you like, are all children. Hugo's the youngest at 5 years old, but the rest are all in their teens. Say Amicia, 15 or 16. We've got Lucas here, who I think is a little bit younger than Amicia, and there are 3 other young characters that you get to meet who are kind of probably slightly older, 17, 18, but they're children. And throughout the majority of the game, Amicia has got her 5-year-old brother, who is not in the least bit irritating or a pain. He's a fantastic little character. You're protecting him, you're leading him by the hand an awful lot of the time. And it adds a very different dimension to what otherwise would have been a very straightforward stealth puzzle, little bit of action game. Because had this been a full-grown man with, great deal of capabilities, or an adult woman, or whatever it might have been, it would have been fairly ordinary because there was no real threat. You're dealing with adults, but this is children. A 16-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy, and immediately you feel more nervous for them because they are so innocent and unprotected. I mean, it's a Plague Tale innocence, and innocence is a theme that runs through the whole of the game. Hugo is 5 years of age and has a mysterious illness, which means he's been locked away all of his life. So this little boy, who is now on the run with his sister, has never seen the world. So everything is incredible for him. He's chasing frogs, but he's also never seen the horrors of the world. And Amicia is also a fairly innocent person. She's grown up in a rich, noble family, but circumstances at the beginning of the game, spoiler free, mean that her and her brother have to go on the run through this absolutely horrific landscape. For instance, as you can see right now, we've got bodies that we are going to have to walk all over. This is to say at the time of the 100 Years' War, so plague and battle and war is rife. So the antagonists are human, so you have some villagers, but you also have the Inquisition, or a part of the Inquisition, and the British Army that you're trying to avoid. The main bad guys are very compelling. There's a knight who is, he's unpleasant, very scary. Never see his face, this huge, unstoppable being. And another man, who I won't spoil, who is at the heart of it. So you have human antagonists, but as you'll see in a moment, the most horrific antagonists are the rats. And the rats seem to have a mind of their own. Have a look at this horse just here. You get to see just how gross this game is. Have a look at the horse. I'm going to look at it. Let's get a little bit closer. It's gross, it's an 18, and for good reason. And look, rats. And the rat physics, if there is such a thing, I've just got to remember what the controls are, since it's a while since I've played it. They are afraid of light, and you have certain things that will allow you to set things on fire or create light to get the rats out of the way. These are permanent, but haystacks, for instance, over here, I'm going to get myself safe in a second so I can talk to you a bit more. Haystacks. Oh, how do I run? I've forgotten how to run. She's going to have to run. Stop crouching, because haystacks run out and you'll get eaten by rats. The rats are horrific, and when you get eaten by them, there are no holds barred here. It is gross. You are swarmed by them and you are just devoured. There is very little escape. If you make a mistake and you get swarmed by the rats, there's two characters you meet later on. If you get swarmed by the rats, that's it, you're done. There is an alchemical thing that you can get later on that will give you some protection from a one-shot kill. The same with the human antagonists, but they're very expensive to make and you can only carry one at a time. So in many cases you are having to be very, very careful and making sure that you don't get swarmed by rats or by people, because you are working with a girl and a 5-year-old boy. Now there are some puzzle elements. Most puzzles are around light. So for instance, I'm just going to get this one done. You want to get a stick that you can carry, that you can light, but the stick is in the middle of all of those rats over there. So what we're going to do is we are going to set fire to this. I'm going to grab it and we're going to spam it and we're going to lower the light down into all of the rats. Come on, button mashy. But as you can see now, the rats are running away, and now I can get Hugo with the D-pad to go, bless him, to go and grab a stick, and he'll be so pleased when he gets it.
I made it.
Come on then, Hugo, come back. Here we go. So Hugo is charming, actually. He's not a horrible child at all. He has a couple of strops, but they're good reason for them. Most of the time he's very polite and obedient. So now we take this and we light that, and we're going to have to walk through the rats. They are gross. To get to the safety of this bit of light. Now you're going to see a human come up now. I'm going to pick up some stones and I'm going to change to that. The humans will kill you, but for instance, he's carrying a light. I put out the light and there you go. Swamped and killed by rats. And because there is fresh meat, the rats are now more interested in him than us, and we can move on to the next part of the level. So all the way through you've got this sense of peril. It is a game that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's designed to make you feel uncomfortable, to make you feel anxious, and that anxiety is only increased by the fact that you are dealing with children. And these children, and Amici is pretty good with a there we go, this guy's going to cut. Oh yeah, got to get this down. She's quite good with a sling, but she's not going to be able to do an awful lot. I've got to kill him. Oh, there we go, on the end, sunshine. Let's change to, oh, got to craft some ignifer. So you can craft on the fly, but it doesn't pause the game. So you can't just spam things, and it's not pause the game and craft things. If you run out, you've got to work quickly. So I'm just going to have forgotten how to run. Here we go. So we'll get a little bit of safety in here, and I'll talk a little bit more about the game itself. Essentially, it is a stealth game that has some minor puzzle solving in it, generally using light or using the sling to open up ways. Ultimately, you can craft. You can see there's quite a few things you can craft here. You've got ignifer, which sets fire to things. You pick up stones, but you will have quite a lot of tools at your beck and call. But the thing about those tools is that they require materials. And there is upgrade. I'll show you very briefly the upgrades here. You can upgrade the strings of your sling, the pouch of your sling, other things, and then you will get another layer of customization and crafting here later in the game. But they all use, as you can see down that right hand side there, similar materials. So it is a little bit of risk reward. Do I upgrade this and then perhaps be a little bit short on the ability to make light later on in the game? Now, to be fair, this is a false tension because there's usually plenty, I mean a lot of materials to collect throughout the game. You're not starved of things to have. Oops, stones, lovely. I'm going to go up here and grab some more things because I'll need some ignifer. So you're not starved of materials. But it does have a sense of, whoa, what do I do? How do I do this? What should I pick up? What shouldn't I pick up? Just to add that little bit of extra because it is, I mean, the game makes you go all the time. It is absolutely superb at making you feel uncomfortable and unnerved. I mean, particularly, let's going to have a close look at these little ratties over here. Not too close because they will eat me, but look at them. Each of these rats apparently has their individual AI, but they've also got a mob AI. And when you get close to them, they get really upset. They don't like the light, so I'm safe as long as I'm in the light. Before I proceed, the game is linear. Some of the levels give you more than one route through, and there are generally more than one decision to be made in terms of how you move forward in the game. However, there are moral choices to make at a couple of places. So there are two particular instances where you have the opportunity to be cruel or kind. Now, this doesn't impact the story as a whole, but it does give you trophies. But all the way through, it is asking you to make moral choices in terms of, I want to rescue a particular character because if I don't rescue him, he gets killed by rats in front of a 5-year-old child. I don't want a 5-year-old child to see someone devoured. There's a bit that I couldn't figure out how to save this guy. You know, you drive rats towards him as you're moving. You're not deliberately killing him, but he gets swarmed. I could see there was a way of saving him. And I went back and restarted it until I figured it out because I wanted to spare little Hugo feeling guilty for this man being killed to keep us safe. And all the way through, do I murder this man in front of my 5-year-old brother, or do I try and find a route around it? Now, the first playthrough, I tried to do as little killing as I possibly could, certainly when Hugo was with me, because he is innocent, and I wanted to spare him that, if I could. And also Amicia, because she's only 15 or 16, and she's in an horrific situation, and is being driven to acts of cruelty and violence just to survive in this horrible situation. So all the way through, although the moral choices that you make have absolutely no impact on the gameplay at all, they do have an impact on your engagement with the characters and the game. And as a result, you become very attached and very close to these characters. They respond very realistically to, within their age ranges. The voice actors are all teenage. Hugo's about 10, I think, the actor who did it, not 5. But they are all children or child voice actors. So it sounds realistic. Their responses are realistic. The way they move, the way they act, the way they react to things gives it an incredible sense of realism and peril and fear, because you don't want them to die, and they die horrifically when they do, and you don't want that innocence and a title to be too spoiled by the horrors that they're seeing. It is an incredibly clever piece of storytelling. This game is, it is a fantastic game. It's got a wonderful story. The characters are very interesting. But what makes this game special is the fact that it chose children as the leads, and therefore you feel that much more invested in their safety. So I'm just going to push this through and get on to the next bit. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be pushing this so you can steer it. It's a bit odd to steer. You steer with look rather than with the left stick goes forward. Now this chappie here, got to get off, is going to come and try and kill us. And boink! There you go. The rats are now going to eat him up. It's gross there. It's a bit like Terminator in the lava pit at the end. They don't do the thumbs up as they go under the swarm of rats, but it's pretty unpleasant. And it's so clever because later on you get things that will lure rats towards bad guys. Not just putting out their lights to swarm them. It's so clever, and an awful lot of the puzzles are around using light effectively to navigate your way safely through this landscape. Oh, right, now we're going to go around. Oh, now, mud is a nightmare. It doesn't come in very many places, but you do want to avoid it because it slows you up. Now, I'm just going to duck down here, and one more mechanic, and then I'll kind of wrap up and leave you to it. So here are humans. Humans don't see very well. Now, I want Hugo to stay.
I might have a chance if I go alone.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, this guy has got his back to me. and I need to get that torch that's over there. So he is going to walk around slowly. As long as I don't get into his sight line, he doesn't know I'm there. He's driving the rats away. I grab the torch. Here we go. And now I can get back. They can't see me. And we're all safe. Here we go. And let's get Hugo back. Which is just, I think, is it down? Here we go. Yeah, down on the D-pad to pick him up again. And now we can drive away these sickening rats. Ugh. They seriously are horrible. Really, really horrible. I love it. I mean, seriously, it is just, it makes you feel, ugh. And you hear them generally before you see them. You probably hear some of the squeaking and the noises they're making. It's absolutely, ugh. And it's in such a good and fantastic way. Don't want to go up here. So I'm not going to go any further. Oh no, I'm going to show you this. This is the bit I was talking about. Now, this is gross. There are two guys hanging here. I just want to show you this bit because this is the moral choice you make. Not a massive spoiler because it doesn't affect the story. And I need to knock these two bodies down. Here we go. Like so. To get away from the baddies, I'm just going to... Oh no, I want Ignifer, don't I? So I'm going to go into this place. I'm going to pop over.
Come on, inside.
And you can see we've got right at the end, I'm just going to pick up the torch so I don't get eaten. Right at the end here, there is a man trapped at the end. At the moment there's enough light, the rats haven't seen him, more rats just pouring out. If we walk all the way along this corridor, we drive the rats and he dies. And the first time this happened I could see, now if you see just to his right there's a tiny little ember, that means there's a lamp I can light to rescue him. But I couldn't figure out what to do and I didn't want that horror to be bestowed upon poor little Hugo. So what you do is, I think is it this one behind me? Yeah. So I can put the torch in here. I can get out my sling. Let's keep those buggers away from me, they're horrible. Get the Ignifer up. And I think I am now close enough. Yeah, so I do this. And we light his lamp, which saves him.
You won't give the alert, will you?
The alert? No.
So he doesn't give us away and he doesn't die and I feel better about it. Now this has zero impact on the story other than getting you a trophy. It has zero impact on the story. But
We'll do without it, Amicia.
I desperately didn't want to kill that man because I didn't want the children to have to live with the guilt of causing someone's death in that way. Although, you know, we have had to kill people through necessity already, that wasn't necessary. I wanted to save him because there was the option to save him and it was the right thing to do. And that is why this game is just so compelling. Now, you will have the same story every time you play through it. And I've played through it a number of times to get the trophy. And it's a joy to play through again. I don't mind playing the levels over and over again because they're so clever and they're so detailed. And, you know, I feel every time I see the rats, no matter how many times I see them. You know, it's a very simple platinum as well. It's a linear game. Your experience will not change very much from time to time. You might make some different choices. You might stealth through one bit and then completely annihilate people in other bits. There is the option of slightly different approaches to certain levels. But it's a linear game. It is a story and it's a compelling story. And it is, Asobo Studios have done such an incredible job of creating a world which is vibrant, but grungy and horrible. It is wonderful at depicting just the sense of squalor and death and disease and general there that would have been plague and war-torn France in the 16th century. It's also like Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog are very good at giving you tension and then giving you moments of relief. There are some moments where you have an opportunity to relax. The beginning of that level, for instance, 5-minute walk down a lovely lane, the side of a river, Hugo chasing frogs, having a wonderful time, before you suddenly find yourself in a field full of corpses. And it does that so well. It lets the tension release. It allows you to warm to the characters and understand them better, and it throws them into danger. And it makes you all the time be so wary of the effect you're having on these children. It is just perfect, and it is without a doubt my game of the year so far. It beats Kingdom Hearts 3, it beats The Division 2, Observation, which has got lots of plaudits, which I didn't enjoy quite so much. In fact, it's one of my games of the generation. So if you're looking for something as loud and explosive, this isn't the game for you. But if you enjoy games like Hellblade or those more independent titles, the smaller titles that do this kind of thing so well, A Plague Tale: Innocence is definitely worth looking at. And it's harrowing, utterly harrowing. Every moment these children are in danger, it's harrowing. And there is a death in the game. And I'm not going to spoil any more than that, but it is without a shadow of a doubt, possibly the exception of the death at the beginning of The Last of Us. It is with a shadow of a doubt one of the most harrowing deaths in any game ever. It brought me to tears. It was just horrific. It was long, it was protracted, it was agonizing, it was harrowing. The conversation going on between the people involved in the scene was just, it was nerve shredding. And there was nothing you could do. Nothing you could do, and you just had to let it happen. And it was just, it was just incredible. An emotional center to a game about devastation and plague and disease. The characters drive this story. The rats add a dimension to it that leaves this game on the edge of panic all the time. And the mechanics are solid. The voice acting is superb, and I cannot recommend this game highly enough. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye for now.